That's crazy that you had a 1-year-old running around your house and you passed the Master Sommelier.
One thing I will give my wife, I really have to give her credit. She was a big proponent of us not stopping and not being able to enjoy our lives because of our pursuit for the Master Sommelier diploma. I'll say my journey is much richer as a result of maybe taking more time, but also enjoyed those opportunities to just live life and just be a husband, be a parent, be a father, So super
Yeah,
cool.
I love that. And you guys really do embody that. I think I remember it was either a conference or a wine awards where your first daughter, Rebecca, brought down with her. Like she was like an infant.
That was when she passed the exam. The first TEXSOM, yes, we brought her, and that was fun.
It
It
was
was
fun
hard, but it
because
was fun.
yeah, like she was doing all these things and you were doing all these things. So it was like little baby got passed around to different Psalms, or at some point someone was holding this child. And it was like to me such a special thing to be like, Tech Psalm is family in more ways than one, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Ciao, y'all. I'm Jessica Dupuy, guest host for a special TEXSOM series on the Italian Wine Podcast, covering the 2025 TEXSOM Conference in Dallas, Texas. Join me in the heart of the Lone Star State as we dive into conversations with key speakers and attendees, exploring career paths, challenges, and the latest trends shaping the wine industry today. This series is proudly sponsored by the Texas Department of Agriculture's Uncorked Texas Wines program, which celebrates Texas wine culture by promoting local wineries and grape growers, both in state and around the world, building a vibrant community around the Texas-made wine. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss our Texas wine tidbit in every episode, a fun little fact, insight, or story that highlights the people and places behind this exciting wine scene. All right. Well, Chris Gaither, welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. I am super happy that we were able to do this. TEXSOM is come and gone. This is like the day after, but I was super excited to be able to sit down with you, and I'm glad that we were able to catch this time together. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, I wonder if you could kind of give us a little bit of background, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you? Because it's not TEXSOM anymore. And kind of, give us a little bit about the different roles that you serve in the wine industry.
Oh, sure thing. Hey, everybody. My name is Chris Gaither. I am a Master Sommelier with the Court of Master Sommeliers of Americas. I passed the exam in 2022. I am based in San Francisco, California, and I do a lot of different things in the industry. So let's see. My full time job at the moment is what I'm doing. I love it. I work as the Director of Wine Education and Brand Ambassador for a small family owned winery in Napa Valley by the name of Brown Estate. They've been making wine for about 30 years, but they've been growing grapes for over 40 years. Really, really talented, amazing family. So I work with them and travel around the country to help educate our distribution partners as well as consumers and all of the folks that help keep the wine industry strong, like retailers and restaurants and wine bars on the wines coming from Brown Estate. I also help with event support, doing lots of fun events and attending conferences and doing wine dinners and doing all kinds of cool tastings and things to support what we do and promote our brands, which is Brown Estate and House of Brown. And then along with that, before I was doing that, my wife and I, we have a restaurant in San Francisco. By the way, my wife, Rebecca Feynman, is also a Master Sommelier. She passed the exam in 2017, 5 years before me, because women do it better, Jessica. So we own a restaurant in San Francisco called Ungrafted. It's a full service restaurant, open 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, and we do lunch and dinner. And we have a fantastic, delicious menu of food and beverage. And we also have our own retail shop within the restaurant, and we have a wine club. And so that keeps us pretty busy. My wife runs all the operations for that, and I help support where I can. And then outside of that, like my wife and I both are active members within the Court of Master Sommeliers, helping to educate exams and teach courses. And my wife is also a member of the board, so that's pretty cool. So there's a lot of fun things we do in the industry.
Gosh, that's the thing. You were running around.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, you're running around all the time. I did not realize that Rebecca was on the board at this point for the court. And I have to say, just personally, like I met you and Rebecca through TEXSOM.
Yeah.
Like you guys were still both studying, and then she got her master, and then it was just a little bit, not too much longer, but you did get yours. But in the meantime, like you got married, you had, by the time you passed, did you have both of your children or
Yeah, we had just had our second daughter.
okay.
So she was about to turn, good God, it was right before she turned 1 when I passed.
Okay. That's crazy that you had a 1-year-old running around your house and you passed the Master Sommelier, just in terms of the studying.
The studying, all that stuff. I mean, it's one thing I will give my wife. I really have to give her credit. She was a big proponent of us not, stopping, not limiting ourselves and not being able to enjoy our lives because of our pursuit for the Master Sommelier diploma. I'll say, my journey is much richer as a result of having maybe taken more time, but also enjoyed, those opportunities to just live life and just be a husband, be a parent, be a father, so super
Yeah.
cool.
I love that. And you guys really do embody that. I think I remember it was either a conference or a wine awards where your first daughter, Rebecca, brought down with her. Like she was like an infant.
That was when she passed the exam.
That was what, okay.
The first conference, the first TEXSOM, yes, we brought her, and that was fun.
It
It
was
was
fun
hard, but it
because
was fun.
yeah, like she was doing all these things and you were doing all these things. So it was like little baby got passed around to different psalms, or at some point someone was holding this child. And it was like to me such a special thing to be like, the whole like tech psalm is family in more ways than one, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
cool.
it's a blessing. I'd say that.
It is. So Ungrafted was one of like the first things you guys launched together. And I just want to put this in context in terms of what it is. So in San Francisco, you said it's a wine bar, but also retail, right? People can purchase bottles as a takeaway.
Yes, they can purchase bottles to take with them. We have a wine club as well. We have close to 200 members. And
Okay.
Rebecca, she selects all of the wines for each member on an individual basis. It's individualized.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. It's based on their preferences.
People have a personal something.
Yeah, no two members get the same exact selections. Or it's very rare that two members would get, unless they like Burgundy and they're like, "Oh, give me Burgundy and champagne," and they both like, and she happens, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it's picked specifically for each member's preferences. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Fascinating. That's very cool.
It's very hard, but it's very cool.
Well, I would imagine, right? In terms of just being able to source the right things that you're looking for, it means you have to have some serious relationships in the distribution importing field, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So you've had some serious experiences in your life leading up to being able to do this. So you've like worked at the French Laundry. What got you on the path to working in wine?
That's a great question. So, I worked in restaurants all throughout college as a means to pay my bills, be able to have some level of independence. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed just being able to work in the industry. And after getting out of college, I returned to restaurants because I enjoyed it and also because it was a world I knew and I was super familiar with. So, it was a place I was working at after getting out of school. But I have to add this because I have so much respect for it. So after I graduated from Morehouse College, I majored in Spanish and I wanted to teach Spanish in public school. And I went to teach at a high school. And it was a really challenging experience, like because I look like a kid. I'm trying to teach other kids, and like it was not for me, not at that point, not at that
Yes.
time, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up calling one of my managers that I worked with previously to see if he was hiring at this really hot new place in Atlanta called One Midtown Kitchen. And he said, "Chris, I would love to have you, come and check out the place." And so I go interview with him. He's chatting with me. I meet the other folks there. He's like, "I would love to have you join us. But, one thing that's very important, Chris, everybody that works here can talk about wine and you have to learn more about wine if you're going to work here." And I said, "Okay." And I kid you not, like after after getting hired, because like I was so happy to be able to have an opportunity to work there. So after getting hired, immediately I bought like Karen McNeil's Wine Bible and read it cover to cover in like barely like a weekend, and had such a fun time reading about that and learning about the different cultures. By the way, I know this is an Italian podcast. It resonated with me being able to read about Italian grape varieties, things that I'd never heard of before. I was like, Alianico, that's so cool, type things. And so
I love that.
within a few months, I became one of those people that, every restaurant has kind of a wine person. I was the wine guy at the restaurant. So everybody would ask me about all the new wines that came on the list, and I'd be chatting about all these different things. And mind you, I'd never been to wine country. I'd never traveled to any wine region before. And I was just super excited and like overjoyed to chat with people. I was probably mispronouncing all the words. I remember I got corrected by somebody that spoke French because I was super excited about this. I was I was calling it Cody Rody. Cody Rody. I was like, oh, you got to get this Pierre Gaillard or Cody Rody. It's so good, and they were like, what the heck are you talking about? But they bought the wine. They were like, by the way, it's Cote Roti and it's delicious. Thank you. But like it was one of those things where I just enjoyed it so much. And I was really lucky that like the person that hired me, super amazing. He's a friend to this day. He took a chance on me.
Yeah.
And, I did my best to, try to make him proud. But also it was just an awesome opportunity to work with those wines. I really fell into it. And that's when I realized I had an aptitude for it because I enjoyed the study, I enjoyed the rigor of it. And I was able to immediately take the information I was learning and use it to not necessarily just sell wine because I don't think about it like that. I was able to create an experience for people and help them to travel thousands of miles in a glass and learn more about a region, learn more about culture as a result. I've always enjoyed that. So that was kind of how I got into it. And I took it seriously. I loved it. I didn't realize it could be a profession until I started to take some official wine classes. And I met a Master Sommelier in Atlanta at the time, Michael McNeil. Other people that were taking the classes that he was doing with a distributor at the time. We started our own wine tasting group. All the people in that group are still friends to this day. And
Yeah.
every time I travel back to Atlanta, those are the folks that are still in Atlanta. I always reach out. I'm like, hey, let's hang out. Let's do something. And we get together all the time. It's awesome. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of sort of how I fell into it. That's kind of how I got my start. It was from a place of building community, from a place of experiencing joy in wine. And that's what I would want for anybody that's getting into this business, to be able to kind of start from that base before they think about going through, exams and doing all these other things as a career. Because if you can't enjoy it and enjoy it for what it is and have a fun time with it and enjoy it and commune with others, then it's going to be very hard to continue on that path when it gets difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've ever heard that backstory on you, that that's kind of how it happened. And I think Cody Rody, that should be like your your Instagram handle or something.
I have
Handle.
never told anybody that. I have never told
You
anybody
just told
that.
the Italian Wide podcast that. So
Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed.
this is why I love you, Chris. I think it's great. Like, seriously, like, we all start there, right?
Yeah.
I started writing about Texas wine just as like I was a food writer. I was given the assignment, like, hey, I hear they make Texas wine. Can you find out if it's any good? I'm like, yeah, sure, I can report anything. And then as I got into it, I'm like, some of them I like, some of them I don't, but I don't really know why.
Hmm.
And I don't really know how to put that in context. And I'll never forget the first time I saw a Texas Montepulciano on a menu. And I was like, I would like this wine, but I'm not even going to try to say it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you have to start somewhere. And so I'm grateful to the sommelier community in Texas. Everyone from like Bill Elsey to Mark Sayer and June Rodil, like all of those people taught me. They said, look, you've been writing about food. If you can learn about food, you can learn about wine. We'll help you. And that's what got me hooked. So it's the same story in a different place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how did TEXSOM come into play for you? Like, when did that come into your life?
I started to attend TEXSOM, let's say back in the mid 2010s. So, like, I
Yeah.
want to say, I think my first TEXSOM experience was either, it may have been 2014 or 2015. if I can remember correctly. And this was during the time that my wife and I were both studying and trying to prep for exams and doing things. And it was just a really awesome opportunity to connect with people from around the country and also especially get mentorship, get perspective on the industry. Little did I know it would become a really, really amazing, I call it a fun community event that I look forward to every single year because I'm able to see cool people like you and catch up with you and be able to just soak in your presence for a couple days. It's one of those things that it grew on both Rebecca and me in terms of being just an awesome event to be able to be a part of. And I love it. And I kid you not when I say this, it's one of the best wine conferences in the country. It brings so many people together, and there's so much talent in one place, so much talent and knowledge and wisdom in the wine world in one place. And it's super cool.
Well, I want to speak to that because I sat in on the aged wine seminar that you gave with Melissa Monosoff, another master of wine. I'm not sorry. Whoa, master sommelier. Wow, that was like a Freudian slip there. Master sommelier and head of education for the Court of Master Sommeliers in the United States. And then Chris Tangi, who is also a master sommelier and like head of education for GuildSom.
Now you're making me freak out a little bit more. I'm like, I did that in front of those two.
Yeah, selfish me, I'm like, I remember Chris when, that kind of thing. I was like, and now you're sitting in the middle of them, but also like the knowledge you three, we had 9 wines to get through. And I think at some point, Melissa was like, we started on a champagne and it looks like we're already 20 minutes into the champagne. We need to move on. Like,
Yeah.
because the questions you were asking the audience were not just like, do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you smell? It was a little bit more than that. It was this, what's the cause and effect this glass of wine is telling us? Of course, y'all did that with each of the wines. And I felt like there was a little bit of this back to basics with TEXSOM, and one of the things that got me hooked on the conference years ago, which is we're just going to sit here and we're going to break this down, and there is no competition at this moment. This is about like, well, why wouldn't it be this, or why would it be this, or if you're getting this type of aroma, or what about this structure? Like the whole, we talked about tannin to acid and having to turn your mind off to tannin if you're trying to describe the acid, and turn your
Hmm.
mind off to acid if you're trying to describe tannin. And how do
Hmm.
you do that, And I just feel like I don't know where else you get that.
It's really hard to get that, I think. There's other SOM conferences. They may go into it, but I really do feel like that's one of the most amazing selling points of TEXSOM is that you get all of that information, that expertise. There's no ego behind it. We're there to learn. We're all there to learn. And it doesn't matter what level of certification you have. There's always something new to learn, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, okay. I wonder if you could just say a little bit about the Master Sommelier path. I mean, you were in service and hospitality, so I can see how that might make sense that you would go down that path. But maybe explain to people who are less familiar, for instance, like I know in Italy, we've got 3 Masters of Wine.
Hmm.
And WSET, people are very familiar with that in Italy and the rest of Europe. The Court of Master Sommeliers, even though I know that there is a European branch and in the UK, may not be as familiar to people. So I wonder if you could
Yeah.
kind of explain why that became the path that was the right fit for you.
That's a great question. So the Quartermaster Sommeliers, from a small comparative point of view, it is smaller than the Society of Masters of Wine, right? Like there's probably half of the, I don't know the exact count of Masters of Wine, but there's under
You're in the
300 Master
400s.
Sommeliers in the world. So that the Court of Master Sommeliers, there are 2 chapters, one in Europe and one in the Americas, which also covers South America and also covers Central and South America and Canada. So I would say that that is an organization that's dedicated to the highest level of service of beverages. It's one of the highest level certifications in the world for the service and sales of beverages around the world. So if you think about it from that standpoint, that means any beverage that's being served, we should be able to immediately speak upon it and offer a very good amount of information about what it is the guest is consuming if it is something that we are serving. And I always have to say, if it is something that we are serving, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so there are 4 levels within the Court of Master Sommeliers. It goes from introductory sommelier to certified sommelier. You can call yourself a sommelier if you're certified, to advanced sommelier, which is a stepping stone to the Master Sommelier diploma, which is the highest level, fourth and highest level. But it deals with sales, service, storage conditions, working in the in a restaurant, being able to sell and serve beverages. And again, not just wine, it could be beer, sake, cider, vermouth, shochu, it could be all kinds of different things, mead. So it deals with how to serve and sell those beverages. And there's a lot of, I would say, tangents that it's very easy to go off on because you
Mm.
work with so many different beverages. A lot of people assume it's based mainly on wine, and it kind of sort of, to a certain degree is, because there are so many details regarding all the different grape varieties of the world, major regions, but it is an umbrella for lots of other beverages as well. So, long story short, that's the organization. There are under 300 master sommeliers in the world right now, and I would say about half and half divided between the American chapter and the European chapter. It's not as well known as, let's say, maybe Master of Wine, due to the fact that, I don't know, maybe we could do a better job with promoting that. But I don't know, because it feels like the old adage, the old joke, how do you know a sommelier is in the room? They're going to tell you. That's how you're going to know. So,
Yeah,
we
I
should
love
just
it.
talk a little bit more. But I would say the Master of Wine, that diploma, that certification is one that's based more on, you could say, it also has a sales component to it, but being able to catalog, classify wine, be able to talk about vintages, be able to speak very, very fluently on all of the details behind wine styles and the regions and the history of those regions from whence they come, being able to talk specifically about that, and being able to look at historic data that talks about the prevalence of those wines and their consumption patterns all over the world, major markets, things like that. That's super important. So I would say, for somebody that's not working in a restaurant, or working, maybe a person's not working in a restaurant, that's a great path for them, because it doesn't necessarily have a service base. I should have been better with talking about the exams, because everybody wants to hear about the exams. So with the Quartermaster Sommeliers, once you get to the certified level, every exam that you have to take has three parts. It has a theory exam that measures your knowledge of wine and spirits and beer, all the stuff around the world. Also, there's a service exam that measures your ability to give the highest level of service to guests in a mock service atmosphere. And then there's also a tasting exam, where you'll either taste 4 wines if you're certified, or you'll taste 6 wines if you're going for the advanced or master sommelier exam. And you have to taste them and describe them in no uncertain detail within a certain period of time. And so a lot of people get stressed out about this. And the movie Somm is dedicated to talking about how people are getting ready for these exams. I would say the Court of Master Sommeliers is the body that helps to certify sommeliers around the world. We don't necessarily teach on wine. We teach at the courses that we do. We do 2 courses where we're really teaching. One of them is the introductory course. The other one is the advanced course. And then beyond that, it's a self-study program. And so you have to study on your own. You have to learn how to study if you're not a person that's, adept at that. And that's probably one of the hardest things for a lot of folks that don't necessarily come from, let's say, an academic background, is being able to learn how to study and prepare themselves for these exams, because they're not easy. And so I think that's probably the big challenge for a lot of people, and that may be part of the reason there's not so many of us out there, is because of the sheer difficulty of just being able to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And then for the Master of Wine, going back to that, those exams do have a theoretical portion as well, which involves writing and being able to express very direct, very, very well defined thoughts on specific styles of wine, regions, things like that, and being able to also taste. There's a tasting element as well, where you have to taste a series of wines, maybe a much broader series of wine, to be able to speak to the grape variety of the region, how the wines are made, and describe the wine in no uncertain detail, maybe to a greater degree. This is written, and there's a specific style of writing that is required for that. And I think for a lot of folks, this is a really great certification, because it tests your knowledge of a specific body of information, and you have more of an idea of what you're going to be tested on. It's not so broad, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's a lot for a lot of people that enjoy that level of study. It's a little bit easier for them to be able to stick with it because there are courses that you can take. It's not a self-study program.
Right.
You can go to classes. They're not cheap, but you can go to classes and there's a path that is kind of aligned in front of you, right? So I would say those are some of the big differences, right?
Yeah. I think you hit on the biggest one too. Someone like myself who does pursue certifications or who has been pursuing them, I was in the court for a long time, but because I don't work the floor,
Yeah.
it was like, I'm not going to be the general manager of a restaurant and need to know how to, understand the sheet, the margin spreadsheets and things like that. And also, I don't work the floor because I've always had this fear of dropping a tray full of drinks on the floor, right?
Oh, you guys just do it. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be the best. I'm serious. Anybody that ever works in a restaurant, if anybody's hearing this, the best thing you can do for yourself is to do it deliberately. Like drop a tray full of glasses, hear them break, and have the feeling of regret. I'm serious because like it's better for you to do it in controlled situation as opposed to doing it in a busy service night where people are counting on getting those beverages and you have like all this stuff happening in front of you and it's so embarrassing. It's better to do
Yes.
that off to the side somewhere where you can control
Yeah.
the atmosphere. Trust me.
That's a good idea. It's kinda like get the stink off you, like just go ahead and get it out of the way.
It's cathartic. It's very
It is,
cathartic.
yeah. But I think I've always been so impressed with so as a writer, to me, the whole, like, Master of Wine path feels right at home, right? I'm like, "Great, give me 90 minutes to break this down," and I know that it's not easy for even me, but I'm just saying, like, that's something my brain can wrap around, right?
Mhm.
Whereas if I had to stand in front of how many examiners are there for the master tasting?
Usually there may be usually 3, I want to
Okay,
say.
3. So if I had to stand there and taste the wine and talk about it out loud,
Mhm.
that is not a strength, right? That is not something that I feel confident with. I'm sure not everybody does either, but if there's something about that path where like everyone who comes out of that, like they know how to describe a wine on the spot, the whys behind it, this is a quality, what level of quality, etc. And I feel like to me that's like magical. And if that's something that you can do, I mean the service aspect, I mean that the hospitality that you guys really sort of lean into is beautiful as well. And then I had forgotten, I'm glad you mentioned this, that there is so much more than wine, that the beer and spirits also play into what you're having to learn and master, if you will. So anyway, I love to hear kind of how you got to that and that it's a journey. If you don't mind me asking, like how long did it take you to get on your path?
I don't mind you asking me at all. It took me 15 years from start to finish. Or rather, I'm not finished. I don't really think of it like that, but
Love that.
I took my introductory course in 2007, and then I passed the Master Sommelier exam in 2022. So it took me 15 years from level 1 to passing level 4. And along that time, during that time, I moved from Atlanta to Napa and then to San Francisco. I met the woman that will become my wife at our advanced sommelier exam in
Oh my
2012.
gosh. Yeah.
We had 2 daughters. We
Yeah.
opened up a restaurant. It's still open, which is great. Aside from working in many different restaurants in the Bay Area, Michelin star restaurants, and made so many friends, like met amazing folks that we're still friends with to this day in this industry because it's so cool and so awesome. So I really do consider the journey one of the most important things because a lot of people think it's this destination that you're looking at. The journey is what makes you. That is what makes you who you are. And I think you come out on the other side better for it, or you come out on the other side bitter for it. Because like you put all
Better
this
or
time
bitter?
in, if you don't have the right perspective, a lot of people will think, oh, I put all this time into doing this and yada yada yada, and I didn't pass the exam, But like at the end of the day, what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's important
Yeah,
to think about that.
you better be passionate about it. Well, let me ask you this one question, especially because you talked about how you guys opened a restaurant together. It's still open. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are you seeing right now? The wine industry, all the talk is, kind of this doom and gloom, like wine sales are down, people aren't drinking wine, especially the young people. And then also you have like this issue of tariffs. And I wonder if you could maybe talk about what you're seeing and how you and Rebecca as a team are reacting to that for your business.
That's a great question. So, generally, I will say wine consumption worldwide is down, right? That's one concern. I think there's a lot of different reasons behind it, but one of the big reasons is our consumption levels during the pandemic peaked. And they were the highest they'd ever been because we were stuck in one place, and we love to eat, we love to drink, we drank a lot, and so a lot
And we
of
needed comfort.
exactly, we needed comfort in that time. It's a very
Yeah.
scary time, and it's easy to
Yeah.
look back and say, "Oh, it
Yeah.
was okay." No, it was scary as hell. So, for good reason, we consumed a lot more. And coming off of those figures, it's actually not a surprise that maybe our consumption is lower than what it was then because now we're much busier. We're traveling, we're working, we're doing all these different things. We're not stuck in one place, right? So, as a result, there is a decline. We created the decline to a certain degree, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there is argument that young folks aren't drinking as much wine. Many young people actually drink a lot of wine. It's just that they don't drink as much, maybe necessarily as previous generations. And there's lots of different reasonings behind that. But I would say some things that may account for, let's say, the percentage of young folks who are not drinking as much as previous generations could be the fact that many of those folks during their formative years where they would be communing with other people their age, drinking wine, drinking beverages, whatever, cocktails, they were stuck in one place and not having those kinds of experiences, right, during the pandemic. So I feel like that could be some of the reasoning behind it. But I would also say, it's an opportunity for the industry to maybe work on how we can tell stories better and work on offering really high quality products because I would say many of the companies that are offering high quality products and are working on making sure their story is properly told are doing okay.
Exactly right. Excellent. Yeah.
I'm not going to say there's not some difficulties because there's still going to be difficulties, but maybe the industry does need to change a little bit, right? We can't expect to operate. I want to be careful how I phrase this, but we can't expect to always have immediate returns, well above the average year over year over year over year. That doesn't work like that.
Right.
So I think it's understandable that there's a little bit of a dip. The other thing is tariffs, right? Tariffs are huge. And I would say, as a American, I'm not happy this is happening. It's creating a lot of challenges and a lot of pain for other countries that do a lot of business here in the United States, right? And it is going to change our industry, the beverage industry. It is going to change it because a lot of countries that did a lot of business with us over the years may be shifting their patterns for trade because of this. And the United States is the number one consumer of wine in the world by dollar value. That may not be the case after everything is said and done because people, may say, "Oh, why am I paying all this extra money to ship this wine here when I could just, ship more wine to this other country, and they're right here near me, right?"
Yeah.
So
Right.
I feel like that's a challenge that we're going to have to kind of figure out. And I think and I'm saying we as an industry,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
it will it will be figured out somehow. Like
Yeah.
as time goes on, as this
Yeah.
administration like moves on, it will be figured out. Hopefully, we'll come out of it on the other side, more resilient. But it is a challenge. It's a huge challenge, and I definitely don't have any of the answers for what we should do. But I just know that for my business, we try to offer value to all the people that are coming in. We try to offer the best we can, and we try to be as understanding that there's going to be some discomfort. We know that because prices are going up for certain beverages that people love drinking, we have other options in place for them based on what they like. So we can say, "Hey, okay, I understand you don't want to spend $250 on Burgundy right now. Okay, maybe how about this other wine, that's coming from this delicious Chardonnay that's coming from Patagonia in Argentina, and it's fan freaking tastic, and it
Yeah.
drinks like a Merceau, and it's made by a winemaker that was working in Merceau, and like it's $150. Boom, like it's kind of like one of those things. I'm talking about Mind Cave from, by the way, if anybody's asking, from
That's the one? Mind cave? Okay.
Mind Cave, Mind Cave. It's Bodega Chakra in
Ah,
Patagonia, in
fantastic.
Argentina. It's
L
so
let's
good, delicious.
it's fantastic. Well, I really appreciate kind of that insight because I do think talk about the work of a sommelier to become a detective and actually go and seek out and find that option, right?
Yeah.
To me, that sounds really fun. Right? Like that sounds like something like, okay, I can go find, I know it exists out there and I'm going to go find it and I'm going to bring it to my customers. You know what I mean?
It's fun if if your job's not on the line. If your job is on the line, you get stressed. That's stressful as hell. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
being real. It's hard,
It's true.
Jessica. It
Yeah.
is fun though. It truly is fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I feel like I could talk to you for a lot longer. So next time I'll come to San Francisco and we'll just hang out and invite Rebecca too this time.
Oh my God,
And
he is great.
yeah, it would be
Yeah.
so great. So I'll make that happen. But for now, we've got to close this one up. And I just want to thank you so much for kind of your expertise and sharing your story and kind of how you made it to where you are. And again, we have TEXSOM to thank for that, you know?
TEXSOM is amazing, and thank you for being. You've attended TEXSOM for gosh, so many years. You've been there. You're a centerpiece in TEXSOM. So thank you for investing in that and being a part of it. And I'm just honored to be featured here with you, and so happy to see you. And
Yeah.
we do have to catch up. I realize that we didn't answer a lot of. I didn't have a chance to chat as much with you. So sorry because I talked too much.
That's
I touched
okay.
on.
No, likewise, likewise. This is the result of organic conversation, and that's what it should be. So don't even worry. All right. Well, next time I see you, hopefully it'll be in California. And until then, I wish you all the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's an honor to be here.
Here's a Texas wine tidbit that reveals how farmers reinvented the plains, swapping cotton for Cabernet and thriving in ways they never imagined. For decades, cotton ruled the Texas High Plains in the northern part of the state, but as droughts intensified and the water from the Ogallala Aquifer dwindled, forward thinking farmers began to pivot. Neil Newsom planted his first vines back in 1986. What started as a 5-acre experiment grew into 95 acres of vineyard, supplying some of the state's top wineries. Another first was Cliff Bingham, who transitioned from cotton to grapes in the 2000s, finding that wine grapes not only yielded more per acre, but also required less water to thrive. These were true pioneers, proving that grapes could thrive where cotton once dominated. Their success inspired others, like Andy Timmons of Lost Draw Cellars, who helped push the High Plains into its modern era, and Nicholas Seaton and Anthony Ferguson of Farmhouse Vineyards, who have championed family-grown viticulture in the region. Add to that names like Ronnie Floyd and Ronnie Burren of Alta Loma Vineyards, and Tony and Madonna Phillips, and you start to see a pattern, one farmer after another recognizing that the future of their land wasn't in commodity crops, but in fine wine. Today, many of these once row crop farmers have launched wineries of their own, creating not just grapes, but brands and legacies. What unites them all is resilience, the ability to look at the challenges of drought and water scarcity and turn them into an opportunity. So the next time you hear of a Texas Cabernet or Tempranillo, remember, it might just come from the land that once grew cotton, now transformed into vineyards through grit, vision, and the dream of a better future for Texas wine. This series is proudly sponsored by the Texas Department of Agriculture's Uncorked Texas Wines program, which celebrates Texas wine culture by promoting local wineries and grape growers, both in-state and around the world, building a vibrant community around the Texas-made wine. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss our Texas Wine Tidbit in every episode, a fun little fact, insight, or story that highlights the people and places behind this exciting wine scene.